Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. 2020 is nearly behind us. And if you're listening to this on New Year's Day, it is behind us. So good news. But we were dealt an early 2021 blow because Cheltenham's off. So that started well. Happy days, everyone. Joined on this Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast by Donn McClean and by Steve Jones, two men that were in fine form for our Boxing Day podcast. Jonesy, you found Frodon at a big old price. I watched it back, actually, what you said. And, you know, sometimes you do talk sense. Well done.
Yeah, I have to say that I fancied Frodon more for a place and suggested that. So I can't take all the credit, Tom, but it's very kind of you to say that.
Did you back him in the win market at all?
I didn't, no.
Oh, but it's brutal. It's brutal.
And that it's one of those situations where halfway round you think, why didn't I? Just why? Because you try and be too clever, don't you? Oh, I don't think Frodon can win, but I think it's a very solid place. But by definition, if you back a horse to place, you only need one or two horses to run under expectations, as Clander's Oboe and Surname clearly did, and you're in business. So. Yeah, not my finest hour, but I'm blaming the Christmas hangover or something.
See, I put up waiting patiently for the place only, but I did back him in the win market as well, just because I thought it would be silly not to. Good, he went off at half the price as well and finished a good second. So we were in good form. Donn, you casually, when I asked for your best bet, you just went à plus tard on Monday in the Savills Chase, and I was like, hang on. That's running over 3 miles, but lo and behold, hey, he's got some Gold Cup profile now, doesn't he?
That was one of the lucky ones, Tom. Yeah, look, it was a hell of a race because when we spoke, we didn't know that they were all going to stand their ground. So when we spoke, I was kind of thinking 9 to 1 or 10.0, 11.0, 12.0. That looks fair enough, you know, but Absolute Tard, given all the doubts about him staying. But then they all ran. Like every horse that you kind of we were thinking might line up, they all lined up. So he was actually a 12 to 1 shot in the morning. So that was clever. But he was a turn 15 to 2, like, so he was strong in the market. But yeah, like, you know, the worry about him was whether he'd stay or not, and he did. And I thought Darragh O'Keefe, Tom, was so good on him. He like Darragh O'Keefe had never ridden in a Grade 1 race before. So to ride a horse as patiently as that, and to let the two Willie Mullins horses off in front of him over the third last, and to sit and wait for them to get over the second last before he asked his horse to pick up. I thought that showed a maturity that, look, he was champion conditional rider last year, and he kind of went a bit quiet after he lost his claim, but he's a very, very good rider, and hopefully he'll get more opportunities now on the back of this.
And I think when there was an element of them finding out whether the horse stayed. So he wanted to ride him quietly. And and it just worked out, didn't it? With the two Mullins horses, I think there was that brilliant moment in commentary where Jerry Hannon went, Willie Mullins will be happy here as they turn in, because they were two. I don't know how happy Willie would have been seeing two horses going head to head early away from home. But whatever happened, à plus tard stayed. And I think he's a fascinating Gold Cup proposition now. He's got that lovely profile. Be his first run in the race. He's stepping up in trip. He's proven that he stays. I think he'll get a Gold Cup trip. I like him.
Yeah, and he's 6 Rising 7, like Sizen John was, like Kicking King was. You know, they've kind of 2 milers who progress, and we know that he is 2 mile, like the 2 mile pace to beat Chacun Persois, to run so well, 2.5 to run so well in the Ryanair. And like Darragh, just chatting to Darragh O'Keefe yesterday, doing a piece with him for the Sunday Times, he said that he hit the line hard, he hit the line well, and on that basis, you'd hope that he would get another 2 furlongs. So, yeah, he's got a very good profile, as you say.
Do you know, so I wasn't planning on reflecting on this race so much, but I want to ask you a question, Donn, if I can. The 2 market leaders, Delta Work and Manila Indo, didn't make it round. Is there a chance that we're overhyping the quality of the form?
Yeah, I mean, of course there is, because of that. Like Manila Indo, when we spoke on the podcast last week, he was a 2 to 1 shot. He was 2 to 1 favorite for the race, and I know he was a little bit weaker, probably because the race was so strong. So we don't know how Manila Indo would have fared. And Delta Work, that's his race. Like, he was primed for that, and that was unlucky that, you know, Sean Flanagan had no chance. He just stumbled and landing over the whatever the fence past the stand. So yeah, we don't know. But Kemboy he's a 170 plus rated horse. He goes very well at Leopardstown, and he stays well. So for Absolute Tard to beat him, I think that's a fair barometer. And then Kemboy pulled nicely clear of Mellon, who was then nicely clear of the rest. So Yeah, I think it's solid form, all right.
Last question relating to this before we come on to the... I should have asked Jonesy you this about Frodon before, but is that horse a serious Gold Cup candidate, do you think? Or, again, did it just fall apart a little bit in behind?
I asked Donn just before we came in whether he thought A Plus Tard would stay the Gold Cup distance, because I think there's a big thing that extra 2 furlongs and the stiffer track at Cheltenham. And I think that's the thing with Frodon. I just don't see him holding on to a lead up the hill over 3-2 with proper Gold Cup horses is tough and as resilient as that horse is, Frodon. I think he's just the most marvellous horse who has been underrated for because he seems to have been around forever. I think he started chasing when he was a 4-year-old, I think. And he does seem to have been around forever, but I think he gets away with it over 3 Mile 1, perhaps on the slightly easier course at Cheltenham, but 3 Mile 2 of the Gold Cup trip, going Gold Cup pace when you know that he'll be taken on. I just don't see him. Maybe if it was good ground, but I'd be worried about the stamina for that trip. But he has surprised everyone in the past and did it again on Boxing Day. So you can't write a horse like Frodon off because he jumps and he's so tough.
Yeah, you should back him in the place market, Jonesy.
Yeah, probably. Probably finish 5th then.
I'll do it. Yeah, he would, you know. Right, before we get stuck into the racing, we're going to start with the Gold Cup horse. Let's tell you about the ongoing Matchbook offer, which is the Bet 10, Get 10 offer. That means new customers only need to place a bet of £10 or more at odds of 2.0 or bigger, and you will get £10 back into your accounts. That is the Bet 10 Get 10 offer. 18 plus and be gamble aware. Right, let's talk about Album Photo, who is running on New Year's Day. That is tomorrow as we're doing this. We were all set to build this as a bit of a matchup, really, between Monolith and Album Photo. Lo and behold, Monolith's gone and got himself injured. So it's just Album Photo lining up at about 4s on. Look, it's not a betting race for me, though it would have been, given the amount of weight he'd have been giving away. About £11 it was. Donn, where do you sit with this horse? We know that he's going to run in this because this is how he's going to be prepped. This run and then the Gold Cup. He's trying to win it 3 years in succession and emulate Best Mate. Him as a prospect this year for Tramore, obviously, but then for the Gold Cup.
Yeah, look, he has to be Gold Cup favourite, Tom. He confounded the stats last year when he won his 2nd Gold Cup 2 in a row. And yeah, he's going for the Best Mate 3 in a row, the Arkle 3 in a row. So he has to be favourite. Willie Mullins was given, like the first year that he had this prep, went to Tramore and then on to Cheltenham. It kind of happened by accident a bit because he was supposed to run in the Dublin Racing Festival in the Irish Gold Cup. That didn't happen because the ground was unseasonably and unusually quick that day. So he went straight from Tramore to Cheltenham. And then last year, Willie Mullins said, if it ain't broke, did the same thing. And then, as you say, Tom, this has been his plan since Gold Cup Day last year, really. So yeah, he's a phenomenal horse. He's won his 2 Gold Cups. He probably won it last year despite the sedate pace, given a very good ride by Paul Townend. The first year he won it, he spread eagle and he won it. You know, he stayed on really well. They didn't know if he would stay 3 1/4 miles that day, but he did. You know, he's the benchmark, isn't he? He's the one that everybody else has to reach. Yeah,
and I think it's interesting you say that again. He was meant to run in between and didn't that year. He went on and ran at Punchestown after his Gold Cup success and was beaten, of course, by Kenboy, the great Ruby retirement. We haven't seen him since the Gold Cup because of the pandemic. So, look, Steve, whether you think or not he's going to win this, is he, in your mind, the right Gold Cup favourite?
Oh, he has to be, yeah. I mean, he's won 2 of them. He's proved what none of the others have done, that he can win a Gold Cup and not just once, but twice. So, absolutely. And perhaps he doesn't get the credit that he deserves for that in much the same way as Best Mate didn't perhaps get the credit when he was there, because people wanted to knock him because they didn't see him enough. But like Donn said, if the formula works, then why change it? And Willie Mullins did it to even more extremes with Q Vega. He used to turn up at Cheltenham every year to win the Mayor's Hurdle, having not run since Punchestown. So it's a horse that will not if he wins this race at Tramore, then he will go into Cheltenham with unblemished record. And there's always the danger with horses. We've seen it with Epatante on Boxing Day, St Stephen's Day, that what comes a lot when you race more, the more chance you've got of getting beaten and supposedly knocking your chances at Cheltenham. So he's got to be the Gold Cup favourite, yes.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. His problem is that the reason he doesn't get the credit is because he rocks up in a grade 3 at Tramore and then goes on and runs in a Gold Cup. And I think, like Best Mate, as you say, only on reflection will he probably get the credit he deserves. I was most taken, I think, more than the first year he won it with last year, because I'd opposed him coming into the whole year. I thought there were some really exciting young horses, lost in translation. Santini. I know we didn't get the chance to see Paul Nicholls' horse, who actually won the RSA top of the game, but I felt that it was a stellar year of second season chasers, and opposed him wrongly last year. And actually this year, I'm not sure we've got that stellar group of second season chasers as we stand at the moment. Got some very exciting novices. So yeah, not that I'd be diving in at 5.5 as he is anti-post, but I think whatever happens, I don't think that price, Donn, will change a huge amount, judging on what happens tomorrow. It almost can't, can it? Unless he gets hammered. Yeah,
well, you see, that's it. Like, if you're thinking about, ironically, normally if you're thinking of backing a horse anti-post, you want to back him before he runs in his next race, because you want him to go and win, and then and his price to contract. Because if you don't back a horse before he's running, you're kind of hoping that he won't run so well. But then if he doesn't run so well, then do you want to back him afterwards or not? So you want to back him beforehand. But with Albin Photo, yeah, I think the only potential change is if he gets beaten, as you say, Tom. Like if you're thinking of backing him, if he wins, he can't, like, you expect him to win. He's a whatever 1.33 is he 1.4 shot, so you expect him to win. If he wins, maybe some bookies will take the opportunity to shave him by a half a point, go from 5.5 to 5.0 or something like that. But unless he's hugely impressive, then they shouldn't. And it doesn't mean they won't, but they shouldn't, because you expect him to go and win nicely. And Acapella Bourgeois, he beat him last year. His stable companion Brahma Bull is in the race as well. It's interesting. Jingle should go forward and set a good pace. So yeah, look, it's all set up for him. Hopefully he will go and win nicely, and hopefully bookies won't cut his odds. They'll leave him as he is.
Yeah, they certainly shouldn't, but you can guarantee they will.
There will be a customary half a point, won't there? They will be.
Yeah.
Well, look, to tie that up, he went off 4.33 last year. He is 5.5 now. I don't think he'll shorten a good deal. I think you're really, betting against injury, getting in there if you want to take some value now, because I think there is probably, but equally, what's the price that you pay to actually see him get in there safely? And I'm not sure there's much margin in that as opposed to where he is there on the day. But yeah, I'm more in his camp this year than I was last year, if that makes sense. And he's already won 2. So we'll see how he goes. Anything to add on Gold Cup or Album Photos, or should we move on, chaps?
Yeah, no, I just think there are young horses around to take him on this year as well. I think it could be a good Gold Cup this year as well. Again, I think it'll be like, it's a fair achievement to win any Gold Cup. To win 3 in a row is fantastic. But I think he'll be tested again, Albin Photo, this year.
Yeah, he will be, and we may not learn too much about him before he gets there. But yeah, Willie Mullins' first Gold Cup, and Paul Townend's as well, no? Mm-hmm. And now they're looking to win 3 in a row. So there you are. Right, let's move on to the UK action. 1 mile, 7.5 furlong handicap chase at Sandown is the first we are going to do, and it's a decent enough looking race as it stands. Let me give you the prices currently. The graded action is the Tolworth. We're going to get stuck into that shortly, but this contest market currently is headed by Ibleo, who somehow got beaten by Sky Pirate last. Any horse that gets beaten by Sky Pirate done very well. 3.5, as is Moonlighter for a trainer that's won this before. 5.5 for Early Dilemmo. 9.0 Hollywoodine, Darebin and San Benedetto. Then you're into 11.0 and the bigger prices. Steve, kick us off. Top of the market or elsewhere?
Elsewhere, I think you struck on something there with Ibleo. If you can get beat by Sky Pirate, then you can get beat by most animals, even though I thought Tom Scudamore was brilliant on Sky Pirate. And that was certainly not a bad run from Ibleo. But second the time before, Ascot, when just nailed second to Canelo. The form of that's worked out well. But there's a lot of seconds in there for a horse that is at the top of the market. And the one that I'm going to take a chance with, I think you said 9 Hollywoodian. And although he hasn't run since March, he was very impressive that day at Hereford back in March when he beat Baby King, and the horse back in 3rd, Storm Control, horse of Kerry Lee's, has done very well since, albeit over a much longer distance. But this is a horse who's always had decent form, missed the best part of 3 years once in his life. So in fact, he was 3rd in this very race in 2017, so 4 years ago, and has only seen the track 5 times since. But the big draw for me with this horse, he has shown good form last season with that win at Hereford, and he's trained by Tom Simmons, who in previous years has struggled a little bit, but whatever he's changed over the summer has worked, and he's been in phenomenal form. He's already beaten his personal best tally for the season. He's on 23 at the moment. 18 of those winners have come since the start of November. So he's a trainer in really good form. And if this horse has improved as much as most of these other horses have, then he's got to have a great chance. And he clearly likes Sandown because he ran well in this race a few years ago. As I said, he's at his best on soft testing ground, which he's going to get. And 2 miles, a stiff 2 miles, seems ideal for him. So he's got the cheek pieces he wore on at Hereford. They're off the cheek pieces, but that wouldn't worry me because he has run very, very well. He's won without the cheek pieces, so I don't think that was a major part of it. So I'm going to take a bit of a chance on his fitness, but with a trainer in form, I think you're entitled to do that. So it's Hollywoodian for me.
At 9.0. So off the back of that, because I'm singing from a similar hymn sheet, but the cheek pieces put me off. So I went through the lack of. So Ibleo, for the reason we've discussed, at the top of the market, I think he's risky. Moonlighter, who fell last time, can just jump to his left a touch. I'm not sure going this way around is going to be ideal. Last win did come at a left-handed track. Early Dilemma, I think, is fascinating off the back of that really good run at Sandown. But then the fall last time isn't ideal, and it was a cruncher as well. I think he's definitely a well-treated horse. Just not sure exactly where we are. And then I got to Hollywoodian, and I thought, hello, interesting. I feel that the trainers' horses are quite often underestimated a touch. But then, unlike you, Jonesy, the sort of lack of cheek pieces just put me off. I don't know why you would check. They put it down to that last time. They said, well, the application of the cheek pieces really helps. So I just wondered if this is a reappearance effort and then they'll stick the cheek pieces back on last time. I'm basically trying to second guess a trainer, which is probably dangerous. Maybe there's enough juice in the price, but
I would say it's interesting why the cheek pieces aren't on, but he's won plenty of races in the dim and distant past, which you don't have to go too far back in the form book to find. It might be a few years ago, but he seems all right then. But it's the fact with a horse like him who has had injury issues, why would you want to give him a prep run for anything when you know something could go wrong at any point? He had more than 2.5 years off the track. So I think if you're going for a prep run, you're perhaps misjudging the horse a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. It's me sort of trying to second guess the trainer. No, personally, nothing. I thought this was tough, so no official one in there. For all, Hollywoodian was my closest to getting over the line. I'm not very disciplined, so I'm sure I will on the day. Donn, what about you?
Yeah, look, I think it's a really interesting race. Ibleo, yeah, like I think Sky Pirate, he's a horse who, look, he's a fascinating horse in his own right. Not that he's running in this race, but he's relevant because of Ibleo. I just think he does it all on the bridle, doesn't he? I don't think it looked like he won really impressively the last time, that he could have won by 25 lengths if he'd wanted. But I think that's him, isn't it? He's a bit like Archibald. He gives it all on the bridle. And horses like that, to me, they get unfairly poor press because it's like the kind of people go, oh, they're not putting it in, but actually, it might be that they're putting it in. They're putting it all in on the bridle. And that whenever they go for them or whenever the jockey goes for them, they've given it all anyway. I think Ibleo, look, he's an interesting horse, and you can understand why he's favoured. But I like Early Dilemma. I thought his run 2 runs ago, I thought he was coming to win it. He was given a good ride by Joshua Moore, let him move into his race nicely. Came up and challenged his stable companion Darabin, and then looked like he just tired, which was understandable after a break of over 600 days. So fall the last day, that's a bit of a worry, as you said, Tom. It was a tough fall, but he's up £5 from a Sandown run. Jamie Moore takes over. Interesting, Jamie Moore rode Darabin that day, and Jamie Moore now rides Early Dilemma, and David Noonan's riding Darabin. The Darabin's up £8, Early Dilemma's up £5, so he's £3 better off with him, but much more than that. Darabin's just, look, he's a good horse, but he's exposed, whereas Early Dilemma, he's a younger horse. He's only run 7 times over fences, and then if you that run back after a break, if you expect that he'll come on for that, which I think you can, I think that gives him a big chance. You have to hope that he's over his fall at Ascot the last day. Hopefully he is. And Gary Moore loves Sandown, as we know, and Early Dilemma has a really good run at Sandown on his CV from the last day, and 100 mark of 125. He's just turning 8. Just think he's got the potential to go higher than 125. So, and he's proven on soft ground as well at the track. So I think he's got plenty in his favour, and yeah, he's a little bit of a price. So I think he's the most interesting here.
I think I worry about that tumble last time. But as you say, it's interesting that's where Jamie goes. He could have ridden weight wise. I wondered if that was it, but he could have got down to what's basically, I think, near his minimum to ride the other horse, and doesn't. So there you go. He's obviously chosen to be there. So 5.5 for Early Dilemma for you. Anything to add to that one, chaps, or kick on?
Only that I was interested with Donn saying horses like Sky Pirate and Archibald. We went over to Noel Mead's going a while back when he had, oh God, I can't remember the name of the horse now, but it wasn't Archibald. Yeah, but we were talking about Archibald, and he said Archibald had been beaten. It's probably Punchestown or something like that. It wasn't the Champion Hurdle. And after the race, Noel Mead said to Paul Carberry, "Why didn't you give him a couple of slaps?" And he said, Carberry was really shocked, and he said he was trying his hardest. And he said it was really, because like you say, we expect the more you hit horses, the more they respond. But some horses just do it all on their own.
I think you're both being very forgiving about those types of horses. I think that those sorts of horses are absolute shitbags, I'm afraid. And you're just looking at them going, you bastard, you. But they score. They don't know how to suck you in.
Oh, they do. They do that.
Oh, they do. Yeah. Right, on we go to Ayr. 205 at Ayr is the next contest we're looking at. 2.5 miles for this handicap chase. It is Evander is currently 3.0 and 4.33 for Johnny Sofa, Flowery 5.0, Clan Legend 6.0, Guitar, good old Guitar Pete 6.0, and Charmant is 11.0. Tight little heat, Donn. Kick us off.
Yeah, I couldn't really find a betting angle here, Tom. I was, interested in Flowery or Johnny Sofa, and look, Guitar Pete, he's brilliant. He's brilliant old stick. But Evander's favourite, and I found it hard to get away from him. Like he was very good the last day at Doncaster, being Captain Black Pearl and Shut the Box, and Shut the Box went and enhanced the form at Newbury the other day. So that was a good run. He's a front runner. He's up a fair bit now. He's up £9 for that, but he's only run 3 times over fences. He's again a young horse. He's only 5, so he's a horse who's probably got potential for plenty more. His good form, his good chase, or all his chase runs have been on good ground, but he has good form on soft ground. He's winning form on soft ground over hurdles, so I wouldn't really worry too much about the ground. I just think he's the one that he's the one who I would have had in as favourite and the most likely winner, and it could all be fairly straightforward from just get out in front and dominate as he did the last day. So yeah, I can't really find a betting angle, but if pushed, Evander would be the one that I'd back.
Evander at the top of the betting, I think, quite rightly off the back of those, not necessarily the last 2 performances, but certainly last time. Slightly easier ground here, but has won on soft before. I'm going to throw a few quid after Clan Legend at 6.0. Danny McMenamin was on board last time, and I thought it was impressive enough at Aintree, and I think could just have this set up to suit. Now, I mean, I know he's an 11-year-old, so you wouldn't exactly say he's unexposed. But with this rider, back over this sort of trip. Recent runs had been over the 2 miles, but I thought he looked good reverting to a little bit further. And I think a patient ride should see this horse suited by it, because I think Evander will go forward, but Flowery is likely to as well. Johnny Sofer, I don't think he'll be too far away either. And Easy Ground and Danny McMenamin taking off 3 again. I'm going to side with him. The rise last time was steep enough, but I think he'll have it run to suit. Small stakes Clan Legend for me. Jonesy?
Yeah, I like this race a little bit. I think they'll go a nice pace. As you say, Evander made all the running last time. Flowery likes to be. I mean, what a job that Ian Jardine's done with him. I think he's in 9 runs for the stable. He's won 5 and been runner-up 4 occasions. And he's not a straightforward horse, but he'll be up there. And the one I want to chance a few quid at is the outsider of the whole field, Charmant. Now, I know he's not been in very good form this season, but they've been in hot races. Last time in the rehearsal behind York Hill and Watmore and Cool Mix and all those. And the time before that, Weatherby was a decent race, Huntsman's Son and 2 for Gold. So I think he was a little bit out of his depth there. But if you go back to last season, he's off the same mark as he won at Weatherby, and he won. He was left clear by the fall of the Paddy Pie, but he was going to win the race anyway. And Bow Bay, who we've seen this season winning over the Aintree Grand National fences, was left miles behind. So he's a horse that pops up at a big price every now and again. He's got winning form at the track. He likes soft ground. And I think he's got a lot going for him, especially with Brian Hughes in the saddle. So I'm going to take a bit of a chance with Charmant.
Who is double figures, outsider of the lot, but outsider of a smallish field, and 11.0 currently. And it's a tight little heat, as we say. Let's move on to the feature on the day. It's the Tolworth Novices Hurdle, 225 at Sandown. I'll kick us off if you don't mind, chaps, just because I'm hugely keen on Metier. He's currently trading at 2.25, which might seem skinny enough to some. I think he's just far and away the best horse in it. I was taken enough with Newton Abbott, where they looked as though they wanted to take a lead, and it was over a little bit further, and then Sean Bowen just said, off you go. And 9-4 looked pretty good on that occasion, looking back. And then at Ascot last time, I was really impressed. He does just go to his right a little bit. So look, he's going back this way round. I don't think they'll go forward. They went forward last time. I think there's enough pace on to think he'll get a lead. Looking at the others, Galise McCarlo, she ran well last time, really well, when Benson just came and picked her pocket late on. But, Chester Williams was claiming his 5 there. He can't claim in this. And that was in a handicap off a mark of 127. She's officially got the weight's a pound to find with Metier, but I think that underestimates him a touch. Adramel was good at Haydock last time, but this is a big old step up. They're going for the cheap pieces for the first time. And then we get stuck into the slightly bigger prices. Again, Do Your Job's got a bit to find. I'm a huge fan of Shake 'em Up Harry, but I haven't got that horse right. I hope he doesn't. No offense, Ben Pauling, but I've got that horse wrong too often now, having you told me what a great horse he was. And I believe he's a really good horse, but it hasn't quite worked out. And I think Metier is a very fair bet at the top of the market. I think he's going to prove very much best of these. Was rated 90 odd on the flats, was bought for a juvenile campaign, which didn't work out. But here he is making up for a bit of lost time. And he's close enough to my best bet on the day, really. So Metier, the favourite for me in the Tolworth. Jonesy?
Certainly sets the standard. Those wins were in great style, and although it was an introductory hurdle at Ascot, meaning you can only have run a maximum of once over hurdles, he did it very well. And the runner-up, Tile Tapper's also in the Tolworth, so the substance to the form, and he is the right favourite for me. But there's others in there. I think he's just a bit too short for me. I wanted to be with Adramel. Can't even say it.
It's supposed to be Admiral, I'd say.
I thought this horse was called Admiral for basically until I looked at the race yesterday. So there you go. Go on.
It probably is Admiral in French, isn't it? So
yeah, probably.
It's like Definitely Red. It's obviously spelt wrong. And I remember speaking to the owner and saying, "Well, why is it spelt like this?" And he said, before it ran in a point-to-point, they were registering it, and the guy who bred it went into a pub in Ireland, wherever he was, and said, "How do you spell definitely?" And they said, "Oh, it's with an E in it," and that was what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
not like the best named horse in racing, trained by Fergal O'Brien at the moment, Jonesy, who is
what, the Turtle's Head.
The Turtle Said. What a great name! What a great name that is! And the fact that the Turtle Said was just a winner in a photo finish was just absolute gold. Literally just had his nose in front. Anyway, we digress.
The guy who names all those, who was given a warning by the BHA previously is a guy called Simon Gilson, who does all the social media for Fergal. He's a very funny guy. And I sent him a text saying, "You've done it again, haven't you?" And he said, "Don't know what you're talking about." Anyway, so with Admiral, I can't even say it, so I'm not going to try. I did with Tom Lacey's horse. I didn't like his jumping. I know he's unbeaten over hurdles. I didn't think he jumped well enough for a Grade 1, to be honest, either start. He always seemed to be trying to make that ground up. And in lesser races, he got away with it, but he won't jump like that and win the Tolworth, I'm sure. Now, it's interesting they put cheek pieces on. If that makes a difference, he would have a chance. But the one I'm going to go with is Do Your Job, who jumps beautifully, won at Foslas and Ayr. And then I thought that was a sound run at Haydock behind Landid Narbo Lad, a horse of Tom Simmons's, who's since run very well at Ascot in a graded race. And I thought he just got into a battle early on in the straight, Do Your Job, and it just softened him up a little bit. He doesn't have to lead, which is a good thing, because there's a few pace setters in there. So I think with the dead 8 and the chance to back him in the win and place market, I think he's a good bet. Do Your Job. He likes the ground, jumps well, and he'll be on the front end, and he'll give it a good go, I'm sure.
8.0 in the win market, and Jonesy recommends a bet in the place market as well on Do Your Job for the Tolworth. Donn?
Yeah, look, you can see why Métier's favourite. He was a maiden winner for Andy Slattery here, and was sold for, I think, 150 grand last year, then missed a year, and obviously something was up, but he's back. As you say, Tom, he's had his 2 runs, 2 wins, but like Steve, I just think he's a bit short. I think it's a more competitive race than that, and Gillies McCallow is the one I like. I know she's second favourite, but I just thought the last day at Sandown, she was keen early on, and even though Totterdown set a really fast pace and they were well stretched out, she was still keen, which, it was the first run in a little while. She'd missed the race at Newbury on Ladbrokes Trophy weekend, but the fact that she was as keen as she was and still arrived there, she went on at the second last and looked like she was going to go on and win it, only for Benson to come and get her. And Benson, like he raced off a £10 higher mark in the Betfair Exchange Trophy at Ascot and ran an incredible race, staying on to finish 4th, having not jumped well and having got looked like he was going to be tailed off going to the 3rd last flight. So the form is working out insofar as we have a little bit of evidence, not that much, but Benson has enhanced it off a much higher mark. She's off a higher mark as well. She's off £7 higher, and as you say, Chester Williams can't claim as £5, but she doesn't have much to find on Métier on official ratings. Even with that, she's only got whatever, she's £8 inferior to him on official rating, that she gets the £7 mares allowance. So I think she's worth a try. I actually had her in mind for a handicap. I thought she might have been a well handicapped horse on a mark of 134, but she does need a fast pace. It looks like she's going to get a fast pace, and I do like going back to Sandown and heavy ground. There's a few tracks like that: Haydock, York on the flat. If you've proven form on Ascot, if you've proven form on soft ground at the track, I think it's worth more than proven form on soft ground at other tracks. There's some tracks that just, I think, especially on soft ground, it does tend to favour course specialists, and Sandown is one of those. So the fact that she's run as well as she did the last day at Sandown is a positive. And yeah, I just she'll get the fast. But I think it's 4 weeks now since her last run, so she should be. Hopefully, she won't be as keen as she was. And she was keen the last day, even though there was a fast pace. So hopefully there will be a fast pace, which there should be, and hopefully she'll settle a wee bit better, because I think she's a progressive mare. 2 miles Sandown, fast pace, soft ground. That looks a combination on which she can be very effective, and I think she can run well. Yeah.
Glees McCullough at 4.5 for the Tolworth then. I'm with the favourite Metier and Do Your Job for Jonesy, the winning place. Let's move on to Ayr. Back to Ayr we go for the Injured Jockeys Fund Handicap Hurdle. It's a staying contest. And Big Penny Visor for the first time is right at the top of the betting, 4.33, 4.5 for Illegal Model, 6.5 Baby Ticker, Just a Tenner, 8.0, Port Storm 9.0, and into the bigger prices, double figures. Donn, straight back at you. Who do you fancy in this?
I think Port Storm could run well, Tom. Like Baby Ticker has good, like stayed on well the last day over 2 miles 5 to win. But I just think Baby Ticker, she's 12 years old. She's just about to turn 12, which, you know, even though it looks like she's in really good form, I just think that Port Storm, who's half her age and comes into the race with a similar profile, I think he can step forward again. Like he stayed on really well the last day at Ayr, at the track, on heavy ground over 2 miles 5 to get up and beat Yugen and Misilo, which I thought that was a very good run. And the fact that he stayed on as well as he did, he just suggested that day that a step up and trip would suit him. He's only run 6 times over hurdles. That was his first win. He's up. He was rated 121 going into that race, so he stays on the same mark for what is, I think it's his first handicap tomorrow. On Saturday. So he's a horse who we know that he goes well at Ayr. A lot of his runs are at Ayr, and yeah, I think he can step forward. 121 looks like a fair mark for him. Illegal Models, I think he's probably the biggest danger. I think he probably should be top of the market because his form is very strong. For all that he hasn't won since January. I think that he's going forward. He's running good races in defeat, but no, I just think Port Storm, like I thought he was probably a little bit overpriced at 9.0, and a horse with course form who is progressive anyway, who should probably improve for the step up to 3 miles. I think he's a wee bit overpriced.
Let me confirm that price for you. Port Storm at 9.0 has been supported since the market opened up as well. Handicap debut of 121, as you say, for Ian Duncan, Conor O'Farrell on board. I'll just pick up because I do fancy Illegal Model, who I think should be favourite for the race. If you go back to his Springfield Fox form, he's 140 over fences now. He gave the horse £3 and won nicely. That was January nearly last year. Actually, it is last year because you're probably listening to this tomorrow. I confuse myself here. It was January 2020. And then we didn't see the horse again. He had a wind up before a reappearance run where he kept on. I thought it was an excellent reappearance. I did throw a little bit after him in the Sandown race, the race won by Portrush Ted. I suppose on the face of it, I think this is a slightly weaker contest. He's off a pound lower. And I just wonder whether also that Sandown heavy ground, he made a mistake 4 out, and then he could never really get his momentum going again. I just think there's an obvious case for saying he's definitely a well-treated horse. He's lightly raced, and I thought he'd head the betting. So I thought 4.5 about Illegal Model was well worth a bet for me. Jonesy.
Yeah, I thought Illegal Model was interesting, but what worries me a little bit, he won that race at Lingfield, and Springfield Fox obviously improved over fences, but then had a wind operation in the summer, and they've ridden Illegal Model a lot more patiently on the back of that wind operation. Whether that's a coincidence or not, I don't know, but I think in a race like this, where it might be harder to come from off the pace, I've wanted to take him on. And the one that I'm going to take him on with is Just a Tenner, who is trained by a guy that I find intriguing, Tristan Davidson, because he's had a lot of success up in the north in the last couple of years. I don't know whether he still is, but he was certainly mixing being a milkman with training racehorses, and he does both very successfully, if all reports of the early morning pinter are anything to go by. But anyway, Just a Tenner, he's been doing it for a long time, and I think the course is the big thing with him. He's had 3 visits to Ayr over the course and distance. The last twice he's won them both. The last one was in October last season on heavy ground, where he won really nicely against a horse of Paul Nichols's called Highland Hunter, who hasn't really done masses for the form, but did come out and finish 3rd in that hot handicap at Haydock, which brings me on to Just a Tenner's runs more recently, was the fact that he's been in races that are too deep for him. That race at Haydock, won by Main Fact, is always a red hot handicap, staying handicap. And then at Carlisle last time, he was against a lot of really solid in-form horses. And if you go back to October, when he won at Ayr, he can show you what he does. He does have to come from off the pace, which is a little bit of a worry for me. And it might sound contradictory what I said against a legal model, but Just a Tenner has proven that he can come from off the pace in these sort of races. Whereas a legal model, for me, I think they're riding him there maybe because there might be an issue there in trying to give him more of a chance. So what will be quite a nice price, I think, for Just a Tenner. I'm going to chance him. And it's another race that is the dead 8 runners at the moment. So as long as they all stay in these races, you can have a bit of a saver on the place market as well.
8.0 for Just a Tenner, named after Jonesy's max bet. And not without a chance. Definitely not. I was going to come straight back at you, Steve, and be like, oh, coming from off the pace, eh? But I totally take the point. Just a Tenner for Steve, Port Storm for Donn, and a legal model who's shortest of all of those for me. We kick on to the Veterans Chase. I love a Veterans Chase. For the last few years, this series has just got seriously good. Produced a Grand National winner a few years ago, didn't it? Sandown 3 o'clock. This is. We've got Cross Park at the top of the betting. Nice open market this as well, with 16 going to post. Let's hope they all stand their ground. Cross Park, who is 9.0. For Potter's Legend, 8.0. Potter's Legend is 9.0. Late Romantic is 10.0. So Ivan is the same. Valtor 13.0. And then we go on to slightly bigger prices. Steve, I was looking at Valtor. I was really interested. And then I was put off by Nicky Henderson's comments about where his horses are. And he's not planning on having a lot of runners. He's got 2 in this. If I could just ask you an aside question about Hendo's horses. Are his comments worrying in any way for you, if you want to side with any of them?
They're worrying the fact that he's overreacted in such a way. It seems from Altior finishing second and running a perfectly respectable race on what was a sharp track, and Epatong getting beaten when Silver Streak was given too much rope, in my opinion. So I think it's an overreaction. He obviously knows where his horses are at, and he's being a bit being cautious with them. In this time of year, quite often trainers give their horses flu jabs and things like that, which in the current climate, vaccines are what everyone is wanting. So Paul Nicholls is one of those that gives all his horses flu jabs in January, and that's hence why he has a quieter month than usual. So it wouldn't
and a holiday to Barbados.
And a holiday to Barbados would be nice, wouldn't it? But it wouldn't put me off any of Nicky Henderson's horses, to be honest. I think he had enough winners over the festive period to say that they're not running bad at all.
Who do you like in this one, Steve?
I like the 2 that I like. I thought this was hugely competitive, and it is a great race, this Veterans Final. And last year it was a thrilling finish, which JPEG just beat Regal Flow. And that's one of my selections. Regal Flow, I think, is perhaps overpriced. He hasn't won for an awful long time. You have to go back to the Midlands Grand National of 2018 for his last win, where he beat Midlands Bob. He stays very well. He loves testing ground, and he does like Sandown, as he showed last year in this very race, where he was just beating a short head. He's a couple of £3 lower in the handicap. He ran perfectly respectable race in the London National back at Sandown when he was behind doing fine in Cross Park, and that was back about a month ago. And he likes to race up with the pace, and the faster they go, the better, really, because he stays so well. So if he can lay up with them, I think on this ground, he's got an exceptionally good chance of hitting the frame, if nothing else. And the other one I like is Potter's Legend, who's a little bit shorter, but comes into this race in great form, having won one of these races at Warwick on his first run after having a breathing operation where he beat Theatre Guide, and Gold Present was also in there, and also Valtor was well back in that one. And then he ran second to Storm Control, who seems to be rejuvenated by going up to 3 miles at Cheltenham last time, and is a nice young improving horse. So I think those two for me. Potter's Legend, who trained by Lucy Wadham, in fact, who's in really good form. So a fair bit going for Potter's Legend, and I'll also chance a few quid on Regal Flow.
Yeah, confirming those prices for you. Potter's Legend currently is 8.0, and Regal Flow, who I've definitely had put up on here before, I can't remember exactly when, 17.0 for Regal Flow. Donn, are you looking towards the top of the market or a little bit more towards the bottom? And I'm just going to address something. Just don't worry about the fact that I'm disappearing out of shot. You give your tip. I'll be back by the time you finish.
Top of the market. Top of the market for me, Tom. Yeah. Take care. See ya. Yeah. So, Steve, what do you really think of Tom? I don't want to joke. Yeah, I think this race last year. Look, I agree with you, Steve, and with Tom that it's a great series. The race last year was fantastic with Jetpack just getting the better of Regal Flow and Theatre Guide just behind them, and Jetpack is back on the same mark. I think Theatre Guide is £1 lower and Regal Flow is £3 lower. Jetpack came into this race on the back of a good upward surge last season. He's not coming into the race on the same kind of forward momentum as he had last year. He was pulled up last time behind Secret Reprieve in that Welsh National Trials. So I just think he's going to have to put those runs. I just prefer him coming into the race and on the back of a better run. For all that, he's probably been targeted at the race, and he's he's a 12-year-old now. He wears cheap pieces for the first time as well. But and Theatre Guy, I can see him running a big race. Steve, agree with that. Regal Flow, his last 2 runs have been back at Sandown, so yeah, that's he likes the track. But I think Cross Park is the one they all have to beat, and I know he's favourite, but he's a 7-1 or 8.0 or 9.0. I think that's fair. Like he's only run twice at Sandown his last 2 runs, which is kind of bizarre for an 11-year-old or just about to turn 11-year-old. But those 2 runs were very good. He ran in this series back in November, and then last time in the London National, it looked like he was going to come and beat Doing Fine. He just got worried out of it in the end. He just Doing Fine just got back up and beat him, but it was a big run by him. And the fact that it was here at Sandown on soft ground, he's up £3, and unusually for a horse in a veterans race, he's actually not rated way lower than he was at his peak, but he still comes into the race on an upward curve. He's an 11-year-old, which is a whippersnapper in the context of this race. And yeah, I just think, again, if he comes forward a wee bit for that run the last day, he does stay well, but maybe on very heavy ground, the drop back down from 3 miles 5 to 3 miles exactly, I think that's probably got to be a positive for him. And look, again, he's towards the head of the market. He's probably going to go off his favourite or his favourite now, but I still think that 8-1 or 8.0 about him is fair enough.
Yeah. Can I just say I was amazed that Fortnum's deliver on New Year's Eve.
He's good. He's been thinking about what to say. Yeah, we could have heard some very unhappy dog sounds in the background, but I'm thankful to say that the issue has been addressed and the dog is very happy, back locked up in his cage. Yeah, exactly the price that you quoted, and I take all those points on board. I'm going to back Venetia's horse here with the first-time blinkers on, Burton's Well. The horse won in first-time headgear at Donny with the cheek pieces on. Went forward, and I think we'll do so again here. I like that at this track. As far as other pace in the race, Philip Hobbs's horse will probably give him something to think about. I don't think anything else will necessarily be vying for the lead, or at least I hope not. Valtor's probably going to be held up, you would think. Regal Flow's a possibility, but I think that he will go forward. The obvious worry is last year, but back off a similar sort of mark. The headgear obviously worked really well at Donny. Haydock was very disappointing, but that ground at Haydock can get absolutely desperate, and the chase course here shouldn't be as bad as that. So I'm willing to chance Burton's Well, who's a fair old price, I thought, at 17.0. Charlie Deutsch and Venetia Williams with blinkers on for the first time. That would be definitely in the win and place market. Let's kick on. We've done everyone's thoughts on that contest. We'll go into the 3:15 at Ayr now, which is the retraining of Racehorses Handicap Chase. It's another staying contest, and the betting looks like this, with Taking Risks right at the top of it, 3.0. We've not got a lot of runners for this, vying for the favouritism with Late Romantic. Strong Economy is 3.5, Manetti 8.0, and Sutton Manor 11.0. I can kick this off by saying I am firmly on the fence. I thought it was trappy. I thought it was very, very tricky. I thought Taking Risks, for me, should be favourite, but equally, I couldn't be all that confident. I think returning to this ground will suit off the back of Newcastle last time in the rehearsal, where he ran really well, but not strong enough opinion to back. What about you, Steve?
Yeah, I couldn't get past the favourite, to be honest. I think he'd probably win. I thought that was a good performance at Newcastle in the rehearsal, a race that he had won the year before on very bad ground, and the going this time was completely different. And that was on the back of a breathing operation. So he's a horse that likes Ayr, obviously, because he won the Scottish Grand National 18 months or so ago. And I thought that he stays well. He does go on the ground, and I thought last time out in the rehearsal when he was fourth, and he was hampered. There was a couple of fallers sort of halfway round, and he didn't come out of that very well. So did well to get back into it, to be only beaten 6 lengths or so in fourth. And I thought that was a reasonable effort. I wouldn't be going in massive at that sort of price, but I just think he's the most likely winner. He's got a lot of class, and although he's got to give weight away, I think he's well up to the task.
Taking Risks, a little bit more confident for Jonesy about him than I am, but yeah, I think the horse should be clear favourite personally. Donn?
Yeah, I think Strong Economy should give him a race. You talk about liking Ayr and Taking Risks, does like Ayr, but Strong Economy, he never runs anywhere else. He only ever runs at Ayr. And I just thought his run the last day, he improved from his seasonal debut to go and beat up Helia King last time. And I just liked the way when he made a mistake at the final fence, he picked up again. It looked like Ophelia King was coming to get him on the far side, and he went forward again. He only won by about a length in the end, but I thought he was value for more than that. The handicapper gave him £6, which it's not ideal. You wouldn't have thought he'd get that much, but he was rated higher a couple of seasons ago. He's up to a mark of 120. So yeah, it's a fair hike for him. But I think he again, he's another horse goes into the race on a high. He's got form at the track on heavy ground over the course and distance, which is a positive. And yeah, I just think there could be a wee bit more to come from it.
3.5 for Strong Economy for Donn. The last race we're looking at is the 3:35 at Sandown. We've got weekend best bets to come in here. This is a handicap hurdle, decent looking one as well. Reminder about the track that is. Hurdles track is testing at Sandown. I think it's going to take a fair bit of getting, even over this 2 miles. I know that Jonesy fancies Monsieur Lecoq.
Yeah, I do. And it's what Donn was saying before, with horses that handle soft ground at Sandown, that's a big thing in their favour. And this horse finished second in the Imperial Cup a couple of seasons ago. And then last season, we had equally good form. He won the Welsh Champion Hurdle at Foss in very deep ground, was only beaten half a length in third in the Great Wood, and then finished second at Ascot on bad ground to Not So Sleepy in that race that Not So Sleepy won again this season. This year, things perhaps haven't gone to plan. He tried over fences, which he didn't particularly look to enjoy, and then ran in France last time, and it's anyone's guess to know what the form of that is worth. But it was a valuable race, and it looked a pretty hot race by French standards. So the fact that Monsieur Lecoq is also dropped in the handicap for those runs, I think is very interesting. He's now off 145, and when you consider he finished second and Not So Sleepy in that Ascot race, it's always competitive, off 150. And the fact is he's been taking on the likes of Honeysuckle after that. So I think you're taking a slight chance that he is in that sort of form that he was last year. But I don't think you can hold his form against him this season. And with Chester Williams taking £5 off, and he knows the horse, which is quite a big thing, and he'll get the race run to suit him. He Tosser Down is sure to go off very quickly. Another horse who likes Sandown, but has only got one way of running, and it sets it up nicely for Monsieur Lecoq for me.
Donn, in agreement with Steve, or looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I like Monsieur Lecoq as well. I was between him and the Pinkin, but I just think at a slightly bigger price, the Pinkin might represent a wee bit more value. He's a horse. He's improved this season. I just thought the run the last day in the Jerry Fielden, it kind of all the attention was garnered by Time White and by Milkwood, who Time White fell or unseated, and Milkwood was unlucky and very unlucky. But I thought the Pinkin ran a big race to stay on as well as he did, to finish second behind Floressa. And Floressa ran well in the Christmas hurdle the other day. I think she finished fourth in the end, beat Diego de Charmel for fourth. So she wasn't beaten that far by Silver Streak and Epitant. But I just thought the Pinkin kept on well. He was a big price that day. Back in a lesser handicap than that. He's up a couple of pounds, but not too much. A little bit of a worry that his 3 runs this season have been on good ground, and they're all very good runs. He was finished a close up second behind Time White, and he wasn't beaten far by Botox Has at Cheltenham at their October meeting. But he does have form on soft ground last year. I just think if he can transfer his improved form this season back to soft ground, which there's every chance that he can, I think he's just a horse who seems to be a wee bit under the radar and a little bit underrated. I absolutely respect Monsieur Lecoq and all that Steve says about the ground and the track. That's all very relevant. We don't know that about the Pinkin, but he's a bigger price, and I think that kind of unknown is factored into his odds. I just think he's a progressive horse who could step forward again.
At 6.0, I believe. For the Pinkin, Danny Sampson and Seamus Mullins. I am strong enough on Monsieur Lecoq. I think that if you look at that form behind Not So Sleepy and £5 lower is very fair. Chester Williams can take his claim here. Won this race a few years ago, and I think the key point is, so Friend or Foe was interesting. He's unexposed on testing ground. He won it with Canton last time on soft ground, where he seemed to really appreciate it. And I thought that wherever he turned up next on testing ground would be interesting. But this is different ground. It's very testing. Nicky Henderson described the chase course as basically a soup. So goodness knows what he described the hurdles course as, some sort of river, I'd imagine. But it is testing, and I just think this will be very different. And what I quite like is you've got a horse like Monsieur Lecoq, who is not necessarily going the right way, but he's a well-treated horse, proven under these circumstances, against a progressive horse who probably should be favourite. But I think that means you're always going to get a bit of a price about Monsieur Lecoq. It's not as strong an opinion necessarily as Steve, but he's the horse I'm going to be backing in that contest. If you're not sure, copy Jonesy. That's what they all say.
They didn't say that in my school, I can promise you.
Did they not? Right, chaps, we've done well to get an hour out there. We spent so much time talking about the Gold Cup market. That's why. Best bets. I'm going to start with Donn McClean. Who's your best bet, Dom?
I'll stick with Gillies McCallow, Tom, for all the reasons we discussed earlier on in the Tolworth hurdle. I just think she's progressive. She was a bit keen the last day, even off a fast pace. She should get a fast pace again. She's proven at the track, proven on the ground, proven at the track on the ground. And yeah, I think her rating underestimates her ability, and her rating gives her a big chance, given that she's getting the mare's allowance as well. And if she should get the fast pace that she seems to need. Hopefully she'll settle a wee bit better. And yeah, the form of her race the last day as well is working out well through Benson. So I think 5.0 about her is fair.
Oh, I don't want to take you on with Metier. I don't like it when we go head to head. It was between that and a legal model. So I'm going to go with a legal model in what I think is a lesser race than he ran in last time at Ayr. So a legal model for me. Steve Jones.
I'm with Donn. Jane Williams, Chester Williams, but with different horse with Monsieur Lecoq.
Look at that. Team Orange. Love it. Thanks, chaps. Enjoyed that very much.
Cheers, Sam. Thank you.
Have a great 2021.
Yeah. I hope everyone has a great.
Yeah.
It really is. The only way is up. Donn, thank you very much indeed. Jonesy, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Pleasure as always. Good luck with your bets. There'll be updates on Twitter as to who we fancy for each and every race. So keep an eye on those and have a great 2021. Bye bye.